Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this new edition of Friday Night Debate. As usual, we have some of our great minds. We'll be discussing issues affecting our common patronymic with Sequoia. Is it matrimony now? We say our motherland. Liberia is being hot. As you know, this is politics in Liberia. It's political time. We're going to be having our elections. Everything that happens during election time is happening. Actually, it's in overdrive. So today we are going to be talking about trending issues in Liberia. We will begin with the violence yesterday in Monrovia in district number 9. What precipitated the violence? How is it possible to have the president in district number 9 and district number 10, and then at the same time having Yeka Kaluba said it is his district, he can do whatever he wants to do, whenever he wants to do it, and however he wants to do it. And then on the other hand, we had a UPP, even though the CDC have put out a schedule of activities 2 weeks ago through the public, through the media, through the NEC. So we'll dive into that and find out how it is possible. And we all are stakeholders in the Liberian Constitution, as it says. What is it that we need to do as citizens beyond partisan to make sure that our country has a free, fair, stable election? With me to discuss these issues are Mr. Elvis Morris from the state of 10,000 lakes. Is that true? Is that 10,000 lakes or 10,000 ponds? Mr. Elvis Morris.
It's true. We got more than 10,000 lakes. Some of them are not quite lakes, but we have a lot of water in this state. But thank you for having me, Mr. Gamer. Pleasure to be on.
Great. And from the Maryland area, the Washington, D.C., I call it the metropolitan area in Washington, D.C., is Mr. Alio Kamara. Mr. Kamara, welcome.
Awana.
You see, this man is a travelist. He's speaking something that I don't understand. Even he doesn't understand it because he's from Sierra Leone. Mr. Feto Nagbe.
A certified, bona fide travelist.
Don't mind him. He's a typical Liberian. Mr. Victor Nagbe, from the city of Brother-in-Law or from the Keystone State. If not, then from the Garden State. Where are you from and how are you doing?
The Garden State.
There you go.
Thank you, my friend. It's good to be here. And I believe when you said the UPP, I believe you meant the UP.
Thank you.
Crossing paths with the city.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to make that.
Yes. And the people from the UP, they feel good when I make that mistake. They just want to be UPP, but they know they can't be UPP. Ms. Marva, from the Peach State, the lady from Maryland County, representing strongly. How you doing there, ma'am?
Thank you very much. It's always good to be here. And I'm from both Maryland and River G. Was born in Maryland, but originally from River G County. Thank you.
Great. We have Victor. Are you from Maryland also?
Yes, I am from Maryland, but I also share something with Ms. Woods. My mother is from River G. My mother is from Fishtown.
Okay. Wow.
And so that way I have relatives in River G as well.
Great. See, this is why, Victor, Mr. Morris, since we are talking about travel background, we're going to be travelers today to begin with.
Oh,
where are your roots?
My mother's mother is from Marsha, Mamba Bassa Omo. My mother's father is from Grand Bassa. My father's mother is from what is current day River G, what was then Lower Grand Jita, and my father's father is from Grand Jita proper. So that's my maternal and paternal tribal lineage right there.
Mr. Kamara, you want to tell us where you're from? Don't tell me you're from Mali.
Yeah, maybe I'll say I'm from Sierra Leone. But here's the thing. My roots come from Lofa, of course, you know that. From both the Quadriboni and the Bahum area. And also, I'm deeply embedded in Bon County with my grandparents, where everybody knew to be my mother growing up, anyways. And then I was born in Marguerite County, also raised in Grand Bassa County, where my grandfather moved in the 1930s and took that place under control. So he became the paramount chief there. So most of the Bassa boys and I grew up together. We brothers and sisters. That's how we call each other. So sometimes people don't even know my real tribe. I'm all over the place, and that makes me a bona fide, certified tribalist. I mean, all kinds of tribes.
You see, so Mr. Nagbe, you see, the whole group here today is from the southeast. Even though Grand Bassa County, they say we're in the middle.
Grand Bassa is not southeast. Don't put it
Listen,
there.
listen, we are in the middle. We consider ourselves southeast.
No, you consider yourself.
Listen, I consider myself southeast because we are right in the middle. When the southeast win, we side with them. If the other folks win, we side with them. But actually, yes, come on, we are in the southeast. Yeah, so we are in it. I consider myself in the south.
Don't put Grand Bassa there. Put yourself there.
Grand Bassa County is in the southeast. Mr. Nagbe and Ms. Wilson, and you see why these people don't like people from the southeast, because everybody has a root in the southeast. But that as it may, let's get going here. It is great to know that we have one thing in common: is the Republic of Liberia, and we always do.
Oh, and don't forget don't forget, I left one thing out. I also have a Sierra Leone background too.
Okay, well, look at what I owe
you. In Sierra Leone as well.
Yeah, we knew you and Joseph Waka walk across there. We know that, so that's fine. So, gentlemen, it's election time in Liberia. We sometimes refer to this as the silly season of the year, where we find people crisscrossing political parties, with some people going from churches to mosques, from mosques to church, back to mosques. Some people are going to the zoos. Some people are going from the church to the zoo booth, from the zoo booth to the church, from the zoo booth to the mosque, from the mosque to the zoo booth. So everything is gonna crisscrossing. The guys who were Unity Partisan last year, you turn around, they are sedition. Guys who were sedition are now UPPN and UPPist. So I mean, it's all over the place. In the midst, you will find some discrepancy. Yes, go ahead, Elvis.
Yeah, I have one topic that I wanted to mention, and I think we can talk about it. The thing that's happening with the Muslim Council of Liberia and the Imam Council, where there's this fight between the two of them, based on what happened at the mosque the other time when President Weah went. There's been a publicity thing where Imam Ali Cry has been going on the radio talking about that the president or the CDC is disrespecting the Imam Council of Liberia, and all kinds of things that was going on. But maybe we can touch on that too. I think that has a propensity to divide the Muslim population in Liberia. So we can talk about that if we have the time.
Great. I didn't read much about it, but yes, we can touch onto that. So here we are. The crisscrossing, it looks like it's coming to a halt. Now that the tire meets the road, where the rubber really meets the roads, we are now running into problems. Yesterday, of all days, the president was in district number 10 and district number 9. And during the process, we heard and read that Honorable Joseph Boakai was on his way to town, to his district, his office in district number 9. And the traffic was jammed to the point where nobody could move, offsetting some of his policies. And they said they were going to rescue or to get Joseph Boakai from the traffic. Get Joseph Boakai from the traffic. In the midst, there was a fracas. People got hurt. In fact, there was a young man who said he was hijacked by the Unity Party. Said they beat him up and cut his ear. And that is going on, and it's factual. It's not they say. So we are seeing the violence that going on here. Mr. Nagbe, we used to say when we were young, if you are watching or playing the game and you down like 7-1 And they got about 30 minutes left in the game. They said, man, we can beat these guys. We'll make grumble so the game can end in confusion. So they can't beat us. And you go and you kick the ball, and somebody take the ball and run with it, or somebody punch the referee and they say the game is over and nobody wins. So this is why some people are saying this is what the Unity Party is doing. Unity Party is now overwhelmed. They know for sure that they can't win this. So they are doing all they can, calling in the international community that this election is going to be stolen, it's going to be rigged, it's not going to be fair to them. Victor Nagbe, where you stay, how do you see this?
Well, I'm actually shocked that we don't have too many of what happened. I mean, yesterday. It's a very small country. Almost all the parties, as a matter of fact, have their headquarters in Monrovia. I just think there is bound to be, um, you know, candidates running into each other as the election season, gears up. And I think that it is going to happen. But what I think should not happen is, I just think there is bound to be, yeah, introducing violence into the process. I think that is what should concern all of us. I've been listening to various accounts of what happened yesterday. I understand the CDC had put out an earlier notice that they had marked this day that they were going to be in this area. This is the old road area, I think, going towards the Ella Junction way there. So, and I understand the Unity Party people had planned to announce, their camping team. They had also put out the notice in advance. So I don't really know, if this was intentional, but I just know that these clashes, I mean, in terms of camping teams running into each other, it's going to happen. But what we should really avoid, and this is on all of us, I heard a lot of people calling on the joint security and all of that. Yeah, the security people are not going to be everywhere. I think we have a responsibility to really temper our behavior during the campaign process. I mean, we just started. So I really want us to exercise restraint, civility to one another. I don't know if the president could have helped if Ambassador Boaka got stuck in traffic, since he has, the convoy and all of that. I don't know if there's anything he could have done to open up the traffic. I don't know. But I heard that the United Partisans got upset that they thought their candidate's trip to wherever he was going was being foiled intentionally, and I don't really think it was intentional. So I just want us to exercise restraint. I mean, I know on the very first day of the official opening of camping, casket and thing were already in the streets. I think all of these things they telegraph to our partisans, that we should amp up the tempo and we should have it our way by all means. So I think it is on all of us, especially the leaders. I think they should really, really be very, very clear on these things. We do not want violence in this exercise. We want people to be able to go out and peacefully present their platforms and let people listen to what they have to sell. And if they like it, let them like them. But this whole thing of trying to, foster the other parties advance, I don't think it will help the process.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Kamara, let
Yes,
me
sir.
come to you because you are a Unity partisan. I'm looking at two press releases here. One is the president's schedule, the itinerary from all the way to the 16th, where he went from District 1 to all the way to District 17. And this was put out 10 days ago. On Wednesday, which was day before yesterday, at 3:27 p.m., I got a date and time on Wednesday, the UP came up with an announcement that they were going to make additional appointment to the campaign team in District number 9. So we are saying here, 10 days ago, the president, the CDC put up the itinerary of their event in all the districts, all the way up to the 16th. They send it out to the media, they send it out to NEC, send it out to everybody. So everybody knows where the president is going to be, when they're going to be, and all of that. Then on Wednesday, the UP came up and said they were going to have the announcement at 10 a.m. Liberian time. According to the CDC, because the Unity Party came up with the announcement, they knew what was up, they delayed their event from in the morning to 3 o'clock because they wanted for UP to get their thing out of the way, and it never happened. All of a sudden, this happened. Now, you talk to me, you are maybe part of it, and I want to make clear here, Alio Kamara does not speak officially for Unity Party, neither do I or anybody here speak officially for anybody. This is our opinion, and our opinion only. Mr. Kamara, talk to us.
Let me get back to my end. But, you know, but listen, you know, I would love to see the day that the ANC will find themselves in this kind of dilemma, and would like to hear Mr. Victor come up and say the thing the way he's saying it so softly, as if, you know, he's giving somebody bread and butter. You know, I just enjoyed the way he was putting it, like he was so relaxed, like he was drinking red wine. You know what I'm saying? But listen, look, this is a pattern that's happened in Grand Bassa County and happened in Nimba County a series of times. In Grand Bassa County, the Unity Party had to postpone twice because each time they selected a date, CDC went there on the same day. In Nimba County, it happened almost 4 times. Each time Unity Party selected a date, Jefferson Koji and others would go in Nimba County on the same day, the same location. The Unity Party had to postpone a few times. Now, you're talking about the weather after 3 o'clock. What happened that day happened in the morning hour? It didn't happen after 3 o'clock. So, but here's the thing. So, the CDC has been going all over Monrovia. This time, they're going to this district, but who knows what part of the district they're going. There was no communication given to the Unity Party or the National Election Commission that CDC were going to be in that particular location where the incident occurred. If you know the rescue headquarters, the rescue team headquarters, you will know that George Weah had nothing doing there. No reason to be there. Now, the CDC went ahead at Vamoma, where the rescue team takes their route to go to the headquarters. At Vamoma Junction, and put a barricade and blockade the street. Not the police, not the CIP, not the NBA, how you call it, NSA. Just ordinary citizens decided no vehicle other than the CDC will go inside of Vamoma. Who gave them that authority? They blocked the road. That's where the problem came. So when the Honorable Joseph Yumabaga was coming, it wasn't like one of those things that George Weah doing, running around campaigning. He was only going to announce, and in fact, it was not intended to take the whole Monrovia. In the process, violence ensued, and the place became risky for Joseph Boca. Joseph Boca was now caught up in traffic. They are giving misleading information. Joseph Boca was turned back by his security, that the situation was becoming out of control. So he had to go back. He was forced by his security. They turned him around. It wasn't because he was stuck in traffic. It was because of the violence that the CDC started. Now somebody said, oh, somebody was beaten, and somebody, look, we saw a Unity Party partisan beaten, breathless, lying down, blood all over him. And we also saw a CDCian who was also beaten. So, I mean, what's the big deal? You did it to them, they did it to you. So this thing has been happening for a long time now, and I can assure you, Mr. Gilman, that the Unity Party is galvanizing its own military arm as well, just like the CDC has continuously done. We saw Jefferson Koji in representative elections, senatorial elections in Monrovia. We saw Jefferson Goji move in there with his barracks, his team, obstructed, intimidated the candidates. And we're seeing this to be something that I think the president himself knows about. But just because George Weah is working around Monrovia doesn't mean that every other political party must put their political operation at halt just because George Weah is moving around the whole city. Does he own the city? This is shameful. It's appalling that people would think that just because George Weah decided to work District 9, District 1, so everybody must stay in their office locations until when George Weah finished running around Monrovia before they can move. Who does that?
Thank you. Mr. Elvis, and I'll read it here because I got this and sent to Anthony Kessley. It says here 10 days ago. Good morning to all members of the DDC, the media, by directive of the superintendent of Montserrado County. Kindly inform all commissioners, city mayors, religious groups, student groups, community chairperson, women group, youth group, black leaders, elders, and the traditional council of Montserrado of all various communities that the president of the Republic of Liberia will pay official visit to the 70 electoral districts of Montserrado County. Visitation schedule as follows.
So what?
Listen, man, you are talking about, I'm just trying to give you the facts here.
I'm telling you that we know that, but we are saying we can't put everything on hold just because you go around the city.
Listen, the election commission says that everybody should submit their schedule. CDC submitted their schedule and they picked these dates. August 8th, District 7 and 8. August 9th, District 14 and 16. August 10th, yesterday, District 9 and 10. August 11th, which I think is tomorrow, District 11, no, today, 11 and 12. August 12th, District 5 and 6. August 6th.
My question to you is, what point are you trying to make here?
Excuse me, I'm giving you the dates.
Because he has a date to travel, so nobody should travel. Is that what you're telling me?
Listen,
Yes.
listen,
You'll
I'm
get there.
giving you facts.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Dennis, I mean, Jerome, I'm sorry. That right there, isn't that the problem? First of all, shouldn't this announcement be coming from the Elections Commission? Why is it coming from the
Tell
superintendent?
me about it.
No, this is
No, that's one. That's one. Two, why is it being referred to as an official visit? The president is campaigning.
So,
This is not a presidential trip that the president is taking. He's just a candidate,
listen,
just like any of the other candidates. So,
Mr. Nagbe,
I don't know his point. I really don't know.
Mr. Nagbe, you're talking the nuance here. These are the verbiage. You don't have problem with the process. You have problem with the verbiage. The problem here, the elections commission said everybody should submit their schedule.
That announcement only came up today.
Of activities. Okay,
No.
You pick your schedule.
That announcement only came up today.
Excuse me, you gave your dates and the time that you would be there. Somebody else pick their dates and time. The reason they're doing that so we don't have conflict.
But Mr. Given for the sake of the audience, though, let's not mislead. The information came out today.
Let me get my take.
1 minute. The announcement came up
No,
today.
it wasn't today, Mr. Kamara. It was previous to that.
Mr. Kamara, Mr. Elvis, go ahead.
Yes, let me say this. I would say the scrimmage that happened between the CDC and the UP, I put the blame on the government, not the CDC political party, but the government that's in power right now. Look, if you want the goat not to eat the cassava, you got to have some separation between them. If you want there not to be any, these are individuals. No one person can control a whole crowd of people and tell them not to fight, and everybody listen to that person. So in order for us to prevent this, I think there should be, crowd control, whether, police or some volunteers. These are some of the things that people do to get ready for elections. You see, if you watch football game, you have these people in this little, green jacket who goes out there and, link arms together to separate the fans from the players. Something like that. It can even be volunteer. It don't even have to be police, but you can have people there who will have some barrier between different political parties to make sure that this is a delineation to tell people this is CDC side, this is UP side, stay apart from each other. Or if you want to go more, militaristic, you can have, crowd control police, a riot police to make sure that you have, peace between the two groups. And I think the government fell short on that part. But to your point, Mr. Gaiman, the schedules are important because, like you said, you don't want conflicting schedules. If UP is going to be in town at such and so point, and CDC has the same date, there's going to be conflict. So that's why it's important for UP to submit their schedule. If they're going to be in Ganta on the 20th of August, CDC and the ANC knows not to be in Ganta on that day because the UP are going to be there. That's why it's important. So you can't just say because the president is there, nobody can go there. It's not just the president that's going. You're going to have Sidicians who are going to be there to welcome him, who are going to be exuberant that he's there. And then if you have UP people coming there, it's going to be conflict between individuals within the two crowds. So overall, I think these things supposed to happen a lot sooner, especially before election kick off. And I think the election commission kind of fell, they didn't do a good job in scheduling all of these things. But definitely crowd control police is necessary because I don't want this election to be an election where people die leading up to the election. We say, oh, 5% died today in a scrimmage between ANC and UP people. It's not going to look good for us. So I would say I blame the government, Mr. Gaiman, to whom much is given, much is required or expected, and the government in power should facilitate the logistics to make sure those guys are on the street whenever there's going to be a campaign event to separate any conflicting political parties that might happen. So that's my take on it. I'll leave it there.
Ms. Wiley, Ms. Wilson, or Ms. Marva, here we have election all the way to October the 8th. So people were asked to submit
October
this.
10th.
No.
Campaign stops October 8th.
Campaign stops October 8th. You got to follow these things, Mr. Kamara. This is a problem with the UP. You guys don't follow the
rules. I think election October 8th. That's
no, I said this thing. I said this leading up to the election.
Go ahead. Now I got you, man.
Yeah, it ends on the 8th. The CDC took out to August 16th. Their campaign in Montserrat ends August the 16th. What's wrong with other party taking from the 17th to the 31st, or from there all the way to October 8th? What's wrong with that when someone is saying, well, the day you took doesn't mean that we should stop, we can move, we can do other things? Don't you think that this is a recipe for disaster when someone says we're not going to abide by your schedule, when we all know that the Montserrat has 17 electoral districts and every candidate has the right to campaign in those 17 districts?
Well, it's kind of tricky. The president of Liberia is a candidate in this election. And what I saw yesterday in the video was the president of Liberia campaigning as a candidate. He was not on his official duty as president of Liberia. Yeah. In the district where Yeke Kolubak lives or that he represents, the president told Josephine Davis to introduce her to the marketeers and everybody that was there, that she's going to be the one to replace Yeke. So, Yeke is not going to take kindly to that. Of course, his supporters will not take kindly to that. And I'm not sure whether the schedule you are talking about came from the Elections Commission long ago before yesterday. I'm not sure whether this is what you are talking about. I'm not sure whether the schedule came directly from the CDC. So that if it came directly from the CDC, I mean, in what capacity? Everybody is a political party trying to get people to vote for them. So you cannot give directives to other people that you're going to be here, so they shouldn't be around there, especially when they have their offices in the same terrain. So I think if there's any schedule that should be submitted to the Election Commission that has the authority over these coming elections, to be the group giving out these schedules so that people respect them.
So
the video,
Mr. Mora, real quick. Okay, so if the CDC abide by what the Election Commission says to publish your itinerary, which they did, you're saying we can't stop anybody from going to their offices, but if the Election Commission does it, the election commission will stop them from going to their offices?
Well, in this case, the election commission is the authority over the election that is coming. If there's anything that goes wrong, that report is going to go to them. So, in my view, it should be the election commission giving out these schedules so they are respected. Because if you have any complaint or anything deriving from there, you're going to take your report to the election commission, not the CDD, not the CDC. So I think it was important to use the election commission. And the videos that I saw yesterday, they were kind of, very bad, going towards election to see all these fights. People were accusing the police of being CDC police. So, and then you have the other man blooded up, even the taxi driver. He was beating. He said Sedition beat him up. The other person ear got cut off. They said, well, you beat that cut the ear up. So we can't have all these things going on, going towards election. Getting
He
really
didn't listen to the part. I want to play it. Yeah. Part to sit down.
It's really, really terrible.
But
And then another person came out to boast.
Mrs. Morba, you hear what this man is saying?
Another
No, listen. These things are not funny, and you guys are taking it for someone to represent to be on national TV and saying he said the president didn't listen. That's why they cut his ear. These things I think we should front on. It's not funny.
I cannot agree with you more, Jerome. These are not funny matters.
Yeah. They can lead to full-scale war.
Absolutely.
So
and
we have to be very careful.
This thing could
little things can spark a big confusion in that country.
Absolutely.
But
I must register my disappointment with Mr. Kamara and even Mr. Mohammed Ali and the CDC government as well. I listened to Mr. Mo Ali when he made a statement talking about, the next time they do it again, we'll know what to do. What to do? What? Is the party going to take on the government? Right. This is childish. And then I hear Mr. Kamara saying the same thing, that it will militarize, military wing.
Right. That's not a solution.
You don't need that in politics.
Liberia went to 40 years of civil war.
And I think the president of the Republic of Liberia needs to also step up.
And at the end of the day,
he is so afraid of losing. He's doing all these little. He is in the capacity to put all of this to stop. And I think he should really call these people out. He should tell his people to calm down. People should be able to go out in the street and campaign freely. We don't need all this violence.
There's another video
to start taunting this government, and the government is such to start overreacting.
There's another video.
The Union Party is the one taunting the government.
Well,
let Ms. Morba have not landed. Go ahead, ma'am.
Right. So there was also another video comprising of motorcyclists giving ultimatum that I think in 72 hours, if they don't return the ear, they're going to go for the ear by force. I mean, what is going on with this?
I'm sorry for laughing, but it sounds funny to me.
It is sad. It is sad.
I mean,
let me get 10 seconds, please.
14 years of civil crisis, and nobody won. Everybody got victimized. And somebody on TV talking about, I killed a lot of people before I can do it again. They gotta bring the ear. They don't bring the ear. We're gonna go for the ear. Who does that?
Who said that? Who said that actually?
Well, one of the guys, when you watch the video where they have the motorcyclist, because they got the person who ear was beating up, they say he's member of the motorcyclists. So therefore, they're gonna go there to get an ear from the Unity Party headquarters.
But start talking out now, Ms. Mova. The more you talking, the more you make people laugh. Why you can't be that ear?
But that's the reality. It's the video.
Ms. Morba, these are regular people who are Saba. Mr. Morris, you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say this. I think sound-minded people will agree that having schedules to separate different groups on different days is a sound thing to do. So I don't know why they haven't come together. If it was just something that CDC decided to do, if it was a recommendation from the NEC to send out schedules so that they can, plan accordingly to the schedules. I don't know why Unity Party hasn't submitted theirs, or the ANC hasn't submitted theirs either, or neither. I don't know. For me, I would say
Mr. Gilman,
I think I think it's a sound thing to do, and I think we'll all agree that to have different days for campaigning for different parties is going to help to avoid violence.
Mr. Gilman,
Yes, Mr. Kamara, go ahead.
Mr. Gilman, Monrovia is not a whole state. There is no way we'll give one man 16 days to campaign in one city. That's one. Number two, the Unity Party only received communication from the National Elections Commission today. And it's a new idea that if you adopt it, it is not part of the National Election Commission policy that people must give them their schedule.
What was
It has not been a part.
the communication
Today,
Well,
the
Mrs. Kamara, doesn't it make sense though? Doesn't it make sense?
Kamara,
But what's the point? What's the point? No, you say
Because when you have
communication
different parties,
the incident took place yesterday. I said the gate communication
Mr.
today.
Morris.
They don't it make sense?
Mr. Kamara, what?
And the United Party has not refused. All we are telling you is,
Mr. Kamara, what communication did you receive today? Read it to us.
but I said the United Party.
Yeah,
Okay,
what
and I'm giving you inside information, and I'm telling you, I don't have the communication in front of me. But let me talk. Let me speak. And it's a public knowledge that it is today that the National Election Commission announced that people, a political party, should give them their schedule. However, there will be no laws on any book that will say that my political party headquarters is in Chuba. And because George Weah is campaigning in Chuba, I must close my party headquarters. It's not going to happen.
But
So the best thing, and this guy was
you have to do that for the sake of peace, Mr. Kamara. A sound person would do that.
This guy was coming up with something that I probably wanted to agree with. He started going back to the old self again. First of all, if you know that there will be that you got CDC in the street, Unity Party have announced to you 2 days before yesterday that they too were going to their party headquarters. And you know, you in the government as a police officer, you people are already in job with your police. What do? You deploy more riot police in the street on that day. What happened? Even when the tested driver were getting brutalized, a police officer stood there and watched. Do you understand what I'm saying? When the incident took place at Bamuma, for almost a whole hour of tussle, no police. After the tussle, and then police came. The issue here is security. You cannot tell any political party in any nation that they have to sit down. A group of parties, 19 other political parties, must sit down from the first up to the 16th for one man to take it. Who is he?
Listen,
Mr. Kamara, when you say it like that, then I will continue to tell you you are projecting violence in this thing.
But what did I say?
No, hold up. Mr. Morris and others are emphasizing the importance of a schedule. When a schedule is drawn up, nobody is telling anybody to sit anywhere, but the schedule is intended to avoid the conflicts that are happening. I don't believe there is a schedule. If the Elections Commission is just calling for a schedule now, that in itself is wrong because all of this should have been in place prior to the opening of the campaign on August 5th. We are all saying if Unity Party is coming into sinker, it would be advisable for the CPP, the CDC to go somewhere either on the Bushra Island, there's Logantown, there's Douala, other places. But there seems to be the absence of a schedule, and this is where the conflict is coming from. And this really falls on the Elections Commission. Now I hear Murray saying, the government should put out, truth. Yeah, they'll probably put a few officers in the streets. But I believe the way to avoid all of this is to put out an official schedule coming from the Elections Commission, not coming from some superintendent of the county. He's a part of the government. And the president is the government. So he is the chief. So if an order is being issued by a government functionary, that in itself is a conflict. This is supposed to come.
Can I clarify? Victor, can I clarify?
No, listen to this. Let me clear here. If we're looking at the CDC schedule here, okay, the CDC on the 8th, they're going to be in district number 9.
Was this approved by Econ? Next?
Mr. Gayman, yes. I don't think they should get all those days. The Election Commission should give them a few of those days.
For one party.
Listen here. Let's say on the 8th, right? The president say on the 8th, I'm going to be in district number 7 and number 8. What happened to district 9?
He's going to be telling people he's going to be there.
No,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The
listen.
election
No,
commission
listen.
should dictate
But
Listen.
the
that's
schedules to
what
the
I've been
president.
saying all along. Who is he?
Victor
The
Namwe.
Elections Commission should be
Victor.
telling us
Victor,
that
listen.
the CDC will be
You
here,
gotta give me a chance here.
the CPP will be here, the Unity Party will be here, the Line will be here. It should be the Elections Commission telling us. The president should not be telling us where he's going to be.
Listen, Mr. Namwe, the NDC said everybody should submit a schedule.
That only came out today.
Listen. The president submitted a schedule in advance, 2 weeks.
So,
What we are saying here, when the president is in the, like on the 8th, okay, the man is not saying lock down the city. We got 17 electoral districts. We expect that every political party will visit those 70 electoral districts. And it's true. So the president chose the lesson on the 8th, he will be in 7 and 8. We got 15 other districts. Why wasn't any other party saying, well, saying he's going to be in district number 7 and 8 on the 8th, I would be in 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Okay, let me clarify that.
Why didn't take those? Because the man only picked 2 districts on the 8th. What happened to the
Let me
other
clarify. Let me clarify for you, Mr. Gilman. Mr. Gilman, let me clarify for you and Mr. Victor.
Clarify for me.
Mr. Victor says, okay, let me clarify for you. First of all,
no, you can't
Georgia
clarify.
has no
You say something you want to say. You can't clarify what I said.
Okay, let me say something. Let me say something. First of all, Georgia is nobody to take 2 districts he won at the same time. At the same time. Not one at a time, but at the same time. Number 2, the district you're talking about, District 9, the headquarters of the rescue mission is there. So you cannot, they have a fundamental constitutional right to be at their party headquarters. If they are going to their party headquarters, you have no right to stop them. And it wasn't the election commission that stopped them. It wasn't the police that stopped them. It was CDCians that stopped them. It's Monrovia owned by the CDC. What I am saying to you, to you, Victor, is I am not saying that there's something wrong with schedule. The fact of the matter is we cannot get one. We got 20 candidates in the race. We'll get one person 16 days out of 31 days in the race. How about the other people? Are they Liberians? What I am saying to you is, even if there was a scheduled thing, which might be a good idea, we are saying that the election commission did not give these people any authority to draft their own schedules. The election commission just today, for Liberia, I believe it was yesterday, just today, the election commission sent communication out to the political parties, suggesting that they give their schedules. But now suddenly we'll sit down here, one man just take the whole city for himself. Who is he?
Yeah, Mr. Gimme, I will say this. It should be an emergency meeting between the main political institutions, the top 4, top 5, or whatever you want to call them. Have an emergency meeting where they will present their schedules. The NEC will pick, and be equitable with the days. You can give each party 4 days out of the month, to do their campaign rally and so forth. And I think that would be fine. They have to do something, quickly, because if they don't do it, it's going to cause more chaos. But to Mr. Gilman's point, I heard Kanye Bala on OKFM at the beginning of the week talking about this schedule thing. So it wasn't something that just came out of the blue. I think NEC knew about it, and the other parties just, failed to give their schedule to the election commission, and CDCs were the first to send theirs in.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friday night debate. Please do us a favor, share this show. Come into the comment section. We'll be taking some calls. Mr. Gibson, welcome to the show. The topics we are on is the Mali in Liberia yesterday. We are talking about the beginning of the month, the CDC, according to them, the NDC decided that everybody should submit a schedule of movement, itinerary. And they submitted the itinerary 10 days ago. And in that, they gave dates that they will be visiting 17 electoral districts. The NDC, the other political party, expected to send their schedule where they will be at certain times so there will be no conflict. No political party except the CDC does what they did. And they began this, they been to several, there was no problem. And it looks like when the opposition saw the momentum, the crowd, they decided to join this thing and put Gary in the man front. Go ahead, Chair. What you say about this? What's happening?
First of all, like Councillor Gonglo, we condemn Unity Party and the CDC for their involvement in that melee. I listen to many videos, I watch many videos where people said that Unity Party supporters beat him and cut his ear. And I watch other videos that say that sedition beat somebody and hurt them. So we in the election, violence is not acceptable at all, at all. But let me say, yeah, I said on Spoon this evening, the way people argue issue make it difficult for us to educate our people. If I gotta be honest here, I don't care how people call me, I gotta be honest. If CDC presented a schedule to NEC and say I will be in District 7, District 8, and no other person submitted a schedule, and the election commission allowed them to go there, then you cannot argue that they're not supposed to be there, or they are taking, like Gamo said, there are 17 electoral districts. The CDC is 7 and 8. The next day, you can go to 10 and 12. You can go to 17 and 16. You can go to 12 and 13. We don't have to be, and there's a law, it's a consistent policy of the election commission that no two political parties should campaign in the same area at the same time. They have said it over and over and over. So Unity Party headquarters is in District 8 or District 7. Their Unity Party headquarters is there. CDC has submitted a schedule to go there. So if in the process and there's a violence that takes place, then we have a problem, because then Unity Party is supposed to know that CDC is supposed to be there. So can they just avoid going there for today and let CDC go there? So that's where I have problem with people analysis of the issue. It make it difficult for us to educate our people. Violence everywhere is wrong. Violence everywhere is wrong. Why should we even entertain people going and fighting each other in the election time? We blame the CDC for whatever violence they were involved to, and I also blame the Unity Party supporters for whatever violence they were into. They're not supposed to hit, they're not supposed to beat anybody, they're not supposed to do any of those. And somebody argue that they were at their headquarters. So what make you leave your headquarters to come outside to fight? Did they go in the compound? Why don't you stay in your compound? Why did
we're not surprised at your views.
Yeah, that's a foolish statement.
No, I think he's making some points there, Mr. Kumar.
I'm telling you, people make it.
We are not surprised. We already know you.
Mr. Kamara, let's talk one at a time, man.
I don't mind those statements. You don't make it difficult for us to educate our people. If it is wrong, it's wrong. You in your compound, why did you come outside to go outside? Why don't you stay in your compound? Did sedition enter your compound? No. They were outside.
Seriously?
You came outside to fight them. So why you came outside? Why don't you stay in your compound for them to come and fight you and let bleed CDC for that nonsense? But the problem is, we should condemn violence wherever they come from. It doesn't. Councillor Gonglo as sedition do. Councillor Gonglo condemn the CDC and the Unity Party. So I'm also saying the same thing. So say you call me sedition, is Councillor Gonglo a sedition do? That's why I say it's a nonsense comment, because Councillor Gonglo will never be a sedition. He's never been a sedition. But he condemned the Unity Party and condemned the CDC. I'm condemning the Unity Party and condemning the CDC. You call me sedition. Does that make sense?
Good. Victor Nagbe.
Yeah, no, I like what Mr. Jiro is saying, but I still maintain I think the Elections Commission has a greater role to play here. I think there are about 60 or more days between August 5th to
59.
59. They reserve the right to say, look, okay, you party on August 5th, go to Magidi County, go to Bon County. Everybody don't have to campaign in Monrovia at the same time. I think they have the responsibility to do that. To deconflict the space, they should be able to do that. And I think we're really putting a lot on the candidates, to try and constrain their people, which they should do. But I think this Elections Commission needs to flex. They have the authority. They should be able to help us guide the process. They're not doing that. That's one. Two, I think as partisans, as party leaders, as we have the right to also restrain our people. Violence is not going to help the process.
No, it's not.
I think we should all frown on it. We should condemn it. I like what Councilor Gongo did today. I hope Mr. Cummings of the CPV will come out too. I think everyone should pile on and let all of us realize the magnitude of this nonsense. We don't need violence in the space. Everybody should be able to move freely.
Mr. Nagbe, while you are there, let me go to the second part of this particular question. Then I'll go to Mrs. Wilson over here. Today, the UP, through their official office, called a press conference, and they made it an official position of the party that they are now going to be ready for violence. They will protect their citizens by all means necessary. They will use everything to their disposal. They will organize their militants, and they will not listen to the National Police or the Elections Commission. And they are now going to protect themselves as they see fit. This is an official message from the political party. I was shocked that the official party,
and Mr. Kamara very shamelessly repeated that call here tonight. And I think all of us here, beginning here, we should condemn him for
I condemn it
the way he did. And I will be the first to say so. I'm embarrassed to be on the same platform with Mr. Kamara.
And I guess they will call you sedition because you condemn the Unity Party.
Maybe you live in Russia. You must respect other people's opinion.
They are going to
your opinion.
Fire with fire. I think
that's my opinion. I stand by that.
Fire will never put out, Mr. Kamara. You let me finish, please. Fire can never put out
fire without calling people names.
Fire can never put out fire. It is a mistake. If a mistake was made by one side, for the other side to say I will equal up to that mistake, we're just all spiraling down the rabbit hole.
Well, that's how you see it, and I appreciate that. But for me, I'm tired, and we are ready for fire. That's how I see it. So I'm sorry you feel ashamed to be on the same platform with me, but that's what
absolutely. I think you're more intelligent than that to sit down here tonight and speak the way you are. I'm embarrassed for you.
I am speaking. No. I'm not an intelligent man. I am speaking my opinion. I am speaking my opinion. And listen, I'm speaking. No. I have the right to speak my opinion. I have the right to say what I want to say. I cannot be censored by you, and you cannot tell me how to speak.
Mr. Kamara,
Mr. Kamara, you have your right to say what
you cannot tell me how to speak.
Mr. Kamara,
I want to ask a question. Go ahead. If we say that seditions are violence, seditions are X, they are Y, they are Z, and we say we will do the exact thing that they are doing, why should the Liberian people make us replace them?
Are you asking me?
Mrs. Mora, this is
yes, sir.
Here we are. We are not talking about innuendos here. We are talking about the official Unity Party's, the official response, the official statement from the Unity Party through Mo Ali today said violence, basically paraphrasing, violence from now on will be the way forward. They will militarize. They will form their own brigades. They will not listen to the police. They will not listen to NEC, and they will take matters into their own hands. In fact, someone sent me a personal note. Anthony Cassidy said self-defense is legal in Liberia, and we will do all we can. And I'm telling you, Mr. Gaiman, a hint to the wise should be sufficient. Take note. This is what he said to me. So.
And that's why the government needs to disperse the police out.
The official voice of the Unity Party said they're ready. They're going to take this thing. It's going to be war. What do you think we should make of this?
Mrs.
Moma.
Quickly, first of all, I don't want this to be.
Sir, they're asking me.
I'm sorry.
That lady get a chance.
As you're responding, I don't want this to be piling on Unity Party. The CDC is also culpable in this, and I don't think we should all be discussing.
We are talking about an official response.
We're talking about the reaction of the
an official response, Ms. Moriba.
And what is
So,
the reaction the CDC?
first of all, violence has never solved any problem in
No.
Liberia, and it is not going to solve any problem at this time. The government is charged with a responsibility to protect all citizens of Liberia. Now, to say that people are going to fight fire with fire, I don't think I want to support that. I will support if people want to, you know, be sure of their own security, because the president said it before, you got to, be your own security. I support that if anybody is doing it to protect their own selves, but
Oh,
you
okay.
can't fight fire with fire because it's not going to lead us anywhere. I don't think, I mean, if that is in a press release, I haven't read it. I think it may be a mistake if that's the kind of message that is coming out, because the supporters might hear that and misinterpret it and make it seem like they're going to be fighting. And when we do that, we'll be really disorganizing the country, and we're not going to go anywhere with this. That's how I see it.
You're muted.
Yeah, you want to come out to me now so I can answer the main question?
Mr. Jerry, you are the media person here. When it comes to press releases, public relations, these are things that you specialize in. I was shocked, even under tough circumstances, the verbiage, what the PRO puts out, it is very, very important. It can start war, it can tame the folks, but for the official gazette of the political party to say from now on, the state, the state security will not be listened to. The authority from the Elections Commission will not be listened to. We are now going to have our own brigade. We are going to have our own protection force, and we're going to deal with it as we see fit. To me, it's like somebody who, a child that went to a game and he's down by 7-0 and decide we make grumble so the game can end in confusion, so nobody can win. This is how I've seen it.
But first of all, Mr. Gamer, if Unity Party responds fire with fire, who loses? You think Joshua will lose? No, that's what Joshua and his people want. You start a fire and see what will happen. And then we will lose. We, the opposition, we will lose because it is incumbent upon us to maintain the situation so that we can get to the election, to the ballot box, and we vote Joshua out. But if we respond fire with fire, Joshua wins. We're not going to survive it. Because in this election time, the spirit is high. Just as Unity Party people feel that they got supporters that can go out there to cause trouble in equal force, there are seditionists who are willing out to go out there to do more than what Unity Party can do. And at the end of the day, the security apparatuses will not defend Unity Party, will defend seditions in a way. Because if Joshua is going somewhere, and because the Unity Party say, well, sedition attack also going to attack Joshua too, the security will fire on you. You put the VIP life at risk. I'm not the kind of person who believe that when the president is going somewhere, we should carry violence there. Because the life of the president, what I don't like him, what I like him, is more important for us to preserve it as a country. And the security will take the VIP life very seriously. It's not a good public relation. Well, I just watched the video you talk about, Mo Ali, promising violence for violence. These are the most irresponsible comments that are coming from the opposition. This is why the opposition always wrong. Sometimes, from the Congo, we will never reply fire with fire. We will use the strong arm of the law. If we're supposed to be somewhere and sedition go there to disrupt our programs, we will engage NEC. We will engage the legal system. We'll test the legal system. We're not going to call sedition, or Gongo followers from Nima, from Grand Jeda, from everywhere. We say, can I go attack CDC? We're not going to do that. That's an irresponsible statement. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Look, what we need to do as an opposition if we are actually willing to win this election, is to disabuse the minds of people that we are different or we are the same as George Weah. If we say George Weah is corrupt or we steal, then we want to replace the proposal of a winner. We want to replace George Weah, you can steal. You say George Weah is violent, citizens are violent, so we are violent. You say you want to replace the men, the people say, hey man, why you want to replace the men? The men are violent, man. You are saying violent man, how can we leave the men for you? And what we're going to stay with the men who violent, we know. That is the language they will speak. We should not respond violent with violence. We should be sensible. We should approach the issue. If George Weah is going here to campaign, it will have even a schedule there to say, you know what, we had the other place, let's go to the other place and forget about this place. We'll have more time to campaign instead of engaging George Weah and his entourage into violent situation. I mean, I don't see it a good idea at all. Mo Ali the United Party made a big mistake for promising violence. It is threatening the security of our country.
But I want to show.
Okay, let me give you a chance to talk.
Listen,
Listen,
gentlemen.
Mr. Gay, I want
I don't want to cut anybody's microphone off. But when
because the man that detractor to the Unity Party, so now you will listen to whatever he has to say.
Listen, you see, this is why we got issues, because we are not, most of us are not tolerant of other people's idea whether they are good or not. Mr. Kamara.
Oh, and now you know that whenever they gang on my view, and now you know we're not tolerant.
Nobody ganging.
You see,
if it's wrong, it's wrong. It's not ganging up. It's just wrong for the national health. Can you imagine 1979, 1978?
But my time to talk now.
Listen, I'm coming. Michael Matthew comes on the scene, and because Tolbert said that he has told Mr. Bright and everybody else to shoot anything that move or anything, and then Michael Matthew come out and say, President Tolbert has said they will shoot, so listen, everybody get your gun and go out there and shoot. Do you think Michael Matthew will say that? No. He says if he has gun, we have to go out there and make sure you put your hands up, be clear.
Okay, well, can I talk now?
Yes, go ahead. How do you understand why
well, you guys are detractors with the exception of Ms. Mulbar. So I expect your opinions and where they will go. First of all, everything you guys have said is deliberate miscalculation and misinterpretation of what Mo Ali said in their stuff. Mo Ali spoke in context, and I know you guys understand the context, but Gibson Chiri, we already know him. We know once the kind of United Party and the GMB there, we know where he stands. If CDC were going to District 9 and United Party doesn't know that CDC is going to District 9, there's no communication between United Party and CDC. And United Party goes to District 9 and CDC attack the United Party. What they should do, they should listen to Gibson Cheru and say, okay, we'll let her just walk. Is that what you are telling us? What happened with Susuru? When they beat him almost to death, they sent CDC. What came out of it? The boys who beat him almost to death. Did any of you, Mr. Victor, did you come out and say you were ashamed to sit down with citizens? No. But when somebody speaks of self-defense, the CDC have done this to the United Party in Pequena, in Nimba County. In recently, they did it to this guy on a standard bearer, but I know he doesn't care about that. His only concern is the United Party. So you expect the United Party to continue to just sit back, and one man and his crew just keep causing trouble, and they cannot defend themselves. The United Party will defend itself. You're talking about United Party will not listen to the police. Where is the police? Do you have police? Do you have police in the country? Do you have security in that country? If security were in our country, the incident that took place yesterday at the Bamuma, would it have taken place? How far is Bamuma to the next police depot? Not far at all. Where were the police? Where were no riot police? When you see a campaign, they say this is campaign season, and a political party is going into a Zoom where they have an Arab, for instance, a troublesome man like Yege Kolba. Zoom. Wouldn't it be expedient for the police to be around there as well? So somebody will say, okay, my party headquarters is here, and somebody said they're coming here. And I decided to go to my party headquarters. I am not allowed to go to my party headquarters. And if I try to go there, I will get beaten. And if I react, yeah, it's bad because it's United Party. I don't want to hear all that stuff.
Okay.
Elvis.
One of the things I I have Mo Ali's speech here. I'm not even going to play it because I will be giving
No,
credence.
play.
So I'm not going to do that
No,
because
no, Mr. Given, play it because we want to get the context as well,
no, listen.
and let the audience get the
Play
context.
it and tell all the context.
Listen. There is no context. Okay, there is no
Oh, okay.
context. When someone like Mr. Kamara is saying categorically, we are going to do this, it's category. There's no context. He just said it. So why do we
Defend,
put up a context? Go ahead.
self-defend.
There you go. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Morris.
Mr. Gimme, I would say this. During the Sierra Leonean election, one of the things that we criticized Malabio for was suspending campaigns. And Mr. Kamara at that time was in favor of it. He said, well, it's in the best interest of the country, so it was right for him to suspend campaign. What was his reason for suspending the campaign? There was violent scrimmages amongst the APC and the SLPD. That was his reason. So if President Weah sees there's a couple of scrimmages here and there, and he decides it's going to be too violent, the situation is too volatile, and he must suspend campaign, how are the Liberian people going to take
That
it?
would be reasonable to me.
That would be reasonable to suspend campaign.
Yeah, if it will cause violence, then you can suspend it.
And that's why, in order to stop that from happening, that's why the schedules are important. And I think everybody on this platform is advocating for schedules. And I think the NEC needs to take the bull by its horn, call an emergency meeting between the parties, have all of the schedules, placed before them, pick specific dates for specific parties, and announce it to the nation, so that it can curtail some of this, this violence and schedule interference that might happen. I think we have to be responsible, and I put the onus on the government. I'm a CDC supporter, but I think we need to, mobilize the police forces. Anytime there's opposition, political rallies or the ruling party political rallies, we have to have enough officers and riot police and people who can do crowd control to make sure that it's going to be peaceful. This is the time for the police department to step up, the chief of police to be on top of things and make sure that the country don't spiral into what we saw with the riot, people getting shot by the state police, and it looks like the government is killing its own people. We don't want to go back to those days. So President Weah, step up. Patrick Sudu, step up. Minister of Justice, step up. We don't want to go back to the dark days. I must agree with Mr. Jeru and Mr. Nagbe on this issue. Mr. Kamara have some points, but we shouldn't advocate for violence. We shouldn't. I'll leave it there.
Mr. Gaiman, I was going to respond to my brother.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Kamara, I was going to respond to Aliu here, but I decided to give him time to cool off because I think he was about to break a blood vessel or something. I respect Mr. Morris for calling out the side that he represents. I don't think any of us here is saying that the CDC was right, or the UP was right, or the CDC was wrong, or the UP was wrong. We're saying that both of them are in error. And I like Mr. Morris calling out the CDC, especially the president. I've said that previously. He has a responsibility to maintain the peace. This is why they all went to Farmington and signed an agreement to keep this process peaceful. And we will insist, we'll demand that they keep this process peaceful. I think what happened yesterday is regrettable. It should never happen again. I think the UP coming up and issuing their militant statement is boisterous and it's all hubris. They can't do a thing. They can't do a thing against the forces of the government. We all know that. They're just bluffing. But what is going to happen is the innocent kids are going to follow this nonsense. They're going to get in the streets and they're going to get hurt. People's children are going to die. Mr. Kamara is not going to go. Where was Mo Ali yesterday? Was he at the front of this? No, he wasn't. He can stand on.
And I see this children will be the most if they're not careful.
Oh, come on.
Lord, please, let's stop that.
Look,
I'm done with this topic, Mr. Gaiman. I'm done with it.
okay,
I mean, you raise a very good point, Mr. Nagbe. When violence begins, the big people there are safe. Mo Ali will not go there.
No.
Kanga will not go there. Kamara will be hiding in your house there. You will not go there. Everybody else who are in the leadership will not go there. The ordinary people in the street are the ones that are going to be. In fact, those who were injured yesterday, those who were wounded yesterday, it was not Kamara, it was not Mo Ali, it was not JMB, it was not Yombi Kanga, it was not Darrell DeLong. The common man in the street got wounded yesterday. They don't even have money to go send people to the hospital. People got to nurse their own injury. I wish that Mr. Camaro would send money for some of the children to go to the hospital, send they hurt themselves. But no, he will not do it. They will not spend a dime to send the children to the hospital. Children will nurse their own injury. So we can't advocate violence because it is the common man that suffer in the streets, not the big people. When I cover violence, I'm going to be here. I can't go in the street. Even when I'm in Monrovia, I will not go in the street. I will be to my heart. Why are the boys in the street? So we shouldn't do that.
And violence also helped to delegitimize the result of these elections. And that's why it's important to have peace. If it's a peaceful and fair elections, that mandate is legitimate. If it's violent, it's not going to be.
I'm surprised that Mr. Kamara
you're talking smart tonight. I'm not on your side tonight.
I said George Biashu.
I know how to call last weekend about my stance. So I
have to ask this though. Let me ask this.
I want to tell Jerry.
I have to ask this. Because Elvis made his point. Let me ask, because I remember when the CPP wanted to do the attire rally, they had to apply for a permit so that they would be protected. Are these candidates not being provided security by the government? I mean, I heard Elvis saying that, and I'm surprised if they aren't. Don't they have security assigned to them when they're going out?
Well, I think they do because the previous district that they have gone to, it has always been peaceful. Even the last election, 2017, when the Unity Party is out there, the CDC stayed out. It has been a mutual agreement, like a gentleman's agreement. When the CPP is out there, we stay home and everybody does their thing. It has never happened this way. For these folks to say, because it is now someone talking about the president taking Josephine Davis into the district to campaign for her. That's what presidential candidates do. When he leaves, Yeke Koluba and Joseph Boyka are going to go to the same people and make their case too. That listen, those people that came here, they are not representing you. We're going to retreat. That's what it is all about. So it's not because the president comes with the opposition, you get upset and say you shouldn't bring her here. No, that's not how it works. That's what they are saying. Mr. Koluba, when are you going to do your campaign? You give them the dates, the time and the place, and to make sure that nobody else go there. If UPP or when UP comes out with their schedule, you will see the CPP, you will see the Gonglo folks, the CDC will not be out there. It is their day, it is their time. You remember when they said Rescue One was going through all the districts. You guys can, I think a month or two ago, Joseph Boyka was in all these districts. He was carrying around his vice presidential pick and his rescue mother and all that. They went to all of these districts. Nobody. They even went to district number 8 where Chorus Gray was. Nobody, nothing happened to JMB when he carried his Rescue One, Rescue Two, Rescue Mother around. Nobody. So why is it now that the president are going, and all of a sudden now you in my district, you shouldn't be in my district because I shouldn't move around. I mean, this is, and one thing that we have to look at, Mr. Kamara agrees with Mr. Elvis. When Elvis said, I think somebody said, these things has a way of clouding the results
I
of the
agree
election.
with most of the things Elvis said. It's just the three of you I don't agree with anything you're saying. That's all.
He said the violence may cloud the result, and Mr. Kamara said, yes, I agree with you, because that is the intent, for these people to cloud and remove the pending results, which is the pending victory, the defeat that Unity Party is going to receive. They don't want to accept it. So they're making the pretense. They're trying to do a Trump. When Trump said, Biden can't beat me, the only way Biden beats me, unless he steals the election. When he got beat, he said, I told you so. That's why Unity Party. Yeah, go ahead,
Mr. Gilman, listen to this. All the things we're going around, so right? None of that stuff is my major point here. My major point here is the deception of people like Victor and Gibson, just pretending to be balanced in their conversation when the truth is the Unity Party is the main focus point for them. Let me tell you this. In any society, a rule of law is enforced by the government. Yeah, we understand citizen arrest. Those are absolute stuff. The rule of law is enforced by government. If you saw 1,000 people coming towards Bamuma Road, they're about to enter Bamuma, and you got citizens create barricades and you can't enter here. Does citizens have the right to stop any Liberian from moving? Who caused the violence in that case? Was it a Unity Party or was it CDC?
Mr. Kamara?
Why when people see the truth, they can't say it?
Mr. Kamara, when I gave you a 10 days notice that I'm going to be coming this way, when the president is
no,
coming,
not my conversation there. Not my conversation there. If you give me notice not to enter here and I post myself there, you call the police.
Mr. Kamara, when the president is coming, they block roads. Everywhere in the world, they block roads.
There was no president there.
Sir,
who blocks the road?
Listen, when the president is coming, they block the route. You don't know this, man.
Okay, your friends are on your side today, Victor and Gibson. Who is supposed to block the road? Is it supposed to be the president's security, or is it supposed to be the neighbors?
Ms. Morba.
Yes, sir.
This is common sense.
Listen, Ms. Morba, I worked for the Barack Obama campaign. When the president was leaving Washington, D.C., they gave us a schedule, the itinerary. The president is going to land in Palm Beach. When the president lands in Palm Beach, the Secret Service is going to be in control. When he gets there,
thank you.
Listen, when he gets to Palm Beach, the sheriff department, the sheriff department is going to block the road.
The sheriff department.
Excuse me. Escort the president from Palm Beach to the border of Martin County, and the Martin County Sheriff Department takes over to St. Lucie County.
You agree with me? What's the point here?
Listen, I am telling you that yes, they block the route. So you can't say
the police block the route. The security block the route. Not partisans block the route.
Listen, I'm not going to
come on, let the host leadership, please.
Let's go to the next topic here.
Thank you.
We heard. Listen, you cannot think you are going to bulldoze, yell, and shout to leave the topic. That's not how it works.
And wine too.
Yeah, either way you do it, either way you will lose. Let's go to the next topic. Like Victor Nagbe said, no one man has ever fought the state and won. It never happened.
Can't do
this
it.
is not one man.
You're wasting your time. Your only recourse is going to be, well, they took political prisoners, they were heavy-handed.
Let the police provide security, not citizen partisans. That's what we're telling you.
The police show up yesterday. What did you say? You said the police
show up after the fact.
You let the part of people say it was
guys, the police showed up after the fact.
Listen, let's forget it because you say it was a partisan.
Yeah, because you can't win this. This is a prejudicial conversation. Let's go to the next topic.
You said yesterday that it was. You said it was a partisan police. The police department that came.
The police have always been partisan police. Said John, we have to over.
There you go. You say it's a partisan police.
It is.
Yet it's still 2000 when Ellen Johnson said the Unity Party were killing sedition. It wasn't partisan police at the time. So
not killing citizens. One citizen died in the party headquarters, and I was there. They were not killing citizens.
You were everywhere.
Let's go to our next topic, Mr. Dana, please.
Let's go to the extradition here.
Yeah.
Lately, we've seen cross-border activities violence, and ECOWAS, their pact says that their mission is to protect each other's border for peace, tranquility, economic growth, and all of these things that will bring development into our region. We have a history of hunters leaving or living in another state and waging war in another state. We saw what they call the Komojar, wherever they are, what they did with Foley Sankor having a base in Liberia with Charles Taylor destroying Sierra Leone. a child, the other folks in Sierra Leone having their base coming to Liberia and causing total mayhem. The ECOWAS got together and said they should no longer happen. So when it's a legitimate request, reason by law, extradition should take place. We found out, I just learned, I think most of you may have just learned, after the former police chief of Sierra Leone was arrested, little did I know that he said he had lived in Liberia over a year. Nobody that I know, I never knew that the ex-police chief from Sierra Leone had actually taken residence in Liberia for over a year. Only for us to find out that there was an attempted coup in Sierra Leone, and several of his men were arrested, and he was implicated, crossed into Liberia. The Sierra Leone government implicated him, sent their forces, their Department of Justice, with a legitimate request or writ of arrest, with every legality attached to it. They went to the Temple of Justice, they made a case, and the man was extradited to Sierra Leone. Now we are saying from the opposition, saying this man may likely be executed, he may be killed. So Gonglo is saying he condemned the government for extraditing a man who is accused for sedition.
And he did the same thing with Charles Taylor. Mr.
Yes.
Gonglo did the same thing with Charles Taylor.
Let's start with Victor. Victor, what is your take on the legal process here that this man was extradited to Sierra Leone?
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't know that this guy, had been in Liberia since last year. I don't really know the circumstances, but I was listening to the commissioner of the Independent Human Rights Commission, and I honestly didn't have the time to follow up on the research. But he said that the Republic of Liberia and the Republic of Sierra Leone do not have an extradition treaty between them. And he was saying this is the reason why when Henry Costa took refuge in Sierra Leone, the very Mana bill refused to extradite Henry Costa back to Liberia, and they sent him on to wherever he wanted to go. If this is true, then I don't understand why, first of all, this government that was slapped in the face by this very government by refusing to extradite someone they regarded as a fugitive, will acquiesce so easily and send this man back to Sierra Leone. Could they not have tried him here? I understand the subpoena, his phone records and all of that, so they may have done some investigation, I guess, to substantiate the fact that he may have made calls within this time frame when the coup was being planned. I get all that. But why did they send him back to Sierra Leone? They could have sent him somewhere else.
I can answer that, Mr. Gimme, if you give me a chance.
1 minute, please. Let me, before you, Gerald, before you guys go forward, let me read the Mana River Union Treaty, so we can all have it here. Say the objective of the Mana River Union, the email objective is to achieve greater unity and solidarity and to enhance cooperation between member states and peaceful coexistence among its people. This is by promoting peace of all security, democratic principles, and the popular participation of citizens in the pursuit of good governance. So we understand that there is no treaty. The treaty between Liberia and Sierra Leone expired in 1963. But the Mana River Union is the new document that came into being that supersedes all of that. So what they are saying here is for someone to be extradited, the person, you have to have tangible evidence, okay, that is paramount and germane to national state security. The Costa thing, the government, Sierra Leone government asked for documentation that requires that this man had created or committed a crime that was worthy of deportation.
Mhm.
There were no crime. The man was he was being charged for petty things that were not even third degree. So it didn't
Right.
rise to the occasion of extraditing, but we are talking about sedition here. And they met with it, both Justice Department met, they show phone record, they show evidence of everything else. And based on that, the Liberian government says they met the threshold for this man to be deported for sedition. So that is how it goes. Mr. Elvin, you wanted to come in?
Yes, I mean you did brilliant in that little segment right there, and that's the point I wanted to make. When you juxtapose Henry Costa to this former police director, Henry Costa has no technical abilities in terms of destabilizing a country through a coup. This guy has the capacity as a militarily trained person, as a police director. He has the capacity. But second of all, Henry Costa was charged with, you know, falsifying documents. He came in with a fake laissez-passer or one that was not officially issued by the government. You know, that's almost trivial when it comes to, you know, extraditing somebody, you know, from another country. So that wasn't enough reason to extradite him. And then there was fear that his life was in danger. He was an internationally known person at the time. So it wasn't worth it for Sierra Leone to send him back to Liberia. But with this guy, Sierra Leone is even more polarized politically than we are in Liberia. The APC and the SLPD are very, very against, you know, much against each other in that country. So this guy worked with Marabio, knows some of the secrets, knows some technical information about the government, and he has the capacity. He's a trained professional, in his field. So if they had the evidence, and again, we're all speaking based on, you know, hearsay, but if they had the evidence and they met the threshold to prove that he was indeed involved in some subversive activities to overthrow the government, I think based on the treaty with the Modern Union Treaty, they have the right to send him back. But I hope that the Liberian government made a call to the ECOWAS or the international community in saying that they should monitor this case because it is not out of the government's hand. And if anything happened to this person, the international community, along with the nation states in the Mano River Union, will be responsible collectively. Because if anything happens to him, it will be seen like Liberia sent him to his death. But rather, it should be a collective thing where everybody said, well, yes, based on the evidence, so and so, we all take responsibility. He should go back and face trial and put the pressure on Sierra Leone that nothing should happen to him. Let the trial be, you know, free and fair. And if he's guilty, go to jail. But not to do it in the kangaroo, you know, justice where, you know, they bring up some charges against him only to execute him because they want to get him out of the way. So I think our Justice Department would have been smart to put a caveat that the responsibility is no longer on them, is in the West African community hands, and they should be monitoring the case with that gentleman. I'll leave it there.
Mrs. Morova, uh, I don't think the president of the Republic of Liberia, anybody can dictate to another nation, especially when it comes to national security issue, where now with the advent of telecommunications and surveillance, you can now any tower in the world can ping and tell you exactly who was calling home, and what time. All of these things can be put together, and the evidence can be so overwhelming that if the threshold is met, that this man is doing this from our show, you in our country and planning to overthrow another government from our show, we will expel you from this country and turn you over to your place of nativity. What your take on it?
Well, right now we don't know exactly what kind of evidence they have against him, but I just feel like Liberia, it's a place that the man came to seek refuge. All right, as an asylum seeker, he felt like he was not safe in his own country. That's why he came to Liberia. And whatever happened, since he came to Liberia, we have not heard anything that he did in the country that was not right. He worked with the president of Sierra Leone. We don't know what kind of relationship they had that led to him being fired before he came to Liberia. And so it would be other personal reasons. I just think that taking the man back to the country. Even the people that came to the place there to bring the document, those generals were running behind the journalists. When we have a Liberian police that's supposed to do that. So from the behavior of those generals, you could feel like this man is not going to get anything free and fair when it comes to trial in his country. That was a warning. By the video alone, I wouldn't have sent him back. If we couldn't look into the case as Liberians, we could send him to another country, maybe Nigeria, and then make the decision. But to take him and send him to the lion's den, I think, to me, that should I don't think it was the only thing. It was the last option that Liberia could have taken.
Mr. Kamara,
Yes, sir.
I tend to disagree with Mrs. Moroba here because I have a personal experience with what she's talking about this particular case. My uncle Tom Wowoyu, after the war, while all he did in Liberia, he decided to seek refuge in the United States. And on his official document, he was asked, have you ever been in a position to overthrow a government? He said no. And all of that, have you conscripted child soldier? All of those things, he said no. When they found out that Tom Wowoyu was a general in the child state of government, actually he did involve into overthrowing a government, killing a sitting president, conscripting child soldiers, all of those things. They didn't send him back to Liberia. He had violated a law of the United States.
He lied.
And they held him here. Okay? And then after that, they asked that he was going to be deported after he did his time because he lied on his application. He did subvert. He did subvert. Same thing. We saw Fode Sankor having a base in Liberia and destroying civilians. So we have a relationship here. We have these things happening. Mr. Kamara, if you were in the Liberian government's case, and the folks brought the evidence, I want to believe they said they had telephone record, had telephone recordings and everything else on the operation. Sufficient enough for the Liberian Justice Department to say, you know what? Yes, it is factual. Here are the recordings. Here are the telephone conversations. Here is everything. You have to go back and face the state of Sierra Leone. What's wrong with that?
I'm really grumbling with your analogy, but let me just buttress Ms. Mova because she's right on course. Charles Tiller,
like on a panel tonight. We'll get that.
Okay. Charles Tiller went to America, ran away from here, from Liberia, went to America, right? There was a charge that he stole almost $1 million. The Doe government has sufficient evidence. And in Charles Tiller case, we have extradition treaty with the United States.
No, we
all
don't.
right?
No,
and the Charles Tiller was tried and found guilty, but the United States government looked at the circumstances in Liberia. Knowing the beef, they decided they would not send Charles Tiller to Liberia because he would have gotten killed. So what America did, they arranged with Ghana, other places, and sent Charles Tiller to Ghana. He landed in Ghana, locked him up a little bit, but they never allowed Charles Tiller to go to Liberia. I spoke with one of the tourists, actually, and they are really, really angry of what happened in Liberia. The issue of, you can't just grab one guy on Friday, have a hearing on Friday, and then turn him over on Saturday in circumstances like these, man. And people want to compare this thing with Henry Costa. Henry Costa, if there was any crime that Henry Costa committed, it was going to be in Ghana. Henry Costa, as a Liberian, once he enters Liberia, There is no charge for a Liberian entering Liberia. Whether he falsified, he didn't falsify, he's a Liberian citizen. He lied to the Ghanaian airport. That's where they're supposed to have issues with him. He may have contravened a Ghanaian law. But if I enter Liberia without any document, without any passport, nothing, I enter Liberia, what will you do to me? Jail me for entering Liberia? So it's not the same situation. It was a common sense thing. The Sierra Leone government could not have given Henry Costa back to Liberia because, first of all, Sierra Leone had no authority to arrest Henry Costa. No authority. In this case, yes, Liberia had the legal authority to arrest this guy, but they could have used their discretion. There was no, in fact, the whole justice thing that took place was kangaroo. These things supposed to take months of investigation. I mean, months of investigation between two governments, between the NSA and the Sierra Leone Special Security Services. Not soldier people. You saw the brutality in the soldiers that came. You saw anger in those soldiers that came. That alone, can show you that this guy would not get this guy. In fact, you know that they didn't use the airport. They drove to Sierra Leone all the way to Freetown. You can only imagine how this guy would figure on the way going over there. I think it was. Go ahead.
There are prevailing circumstances. You got to understand that with the coups that's been going on in the region, a lot of government are afraid and they're trying to put a stop to it. So when it's something like that that's being attributed to somebody in Liberia who's plotting a possible coup in Sierra Leone, that could be the thing
that's acting on their emotions. You can't do that.
Listen to this.
Okay, but let me land.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is a due process in Liberia. If a person is in Liberia, under the Liberian law, not the Sierra Leonean laws. Under Liberian laws, that man is innocent unless there's a proof that he committed. Just because somebody say, hey, Evans was involved in a coup d'etat plot, and therefore it's true. So that meant they should have absorbed all the Liberian laws before releasing that man.
He's not a Liberian citizen, so he's not protected under our constitution.
Mr. Kamara.
He is. Everybody in Liberia is protected under the constitution.
Mr. Kamara, you cannot divine intent. You can't look at somebody's face and say this guy is violent. You're trying to use the white supremacy.
We saw the man breaking
No, they did.
Listen, you cannot say by looking at the army man body structure, you can tell you're going to be violent. You can't say that. Mr. Gerald.
Let me
Kamara
they
is saying
behind the journalists. They try to take the journalists to destroy it. That violent behavior.
So what? How do you jump from that to looking at the man's body? This man is not gonna. He's not gonna.
So listen. If the man run behind the Liberian journalist and try to confiscate his phone, why not go about somebody who is accused of trying to overthrow the government?
I could look at you too and say we cannot.
But that's not what I
said. Because they are black people. Black people are not civilized, so we shouldn't deal with it. I could say that too, Mr. Gerald.
No, that's a wrong analogy.
Let me come in. There are two things. Thank God at this on law. So I was able to know what an intent supposed to be.
Gerald, listen. I know your party have taken a legal position. You got a press statement out, so I do not expect you to say anything different.
I'm different.
Go ahead. What did your party? Listen, what did your party say, and why did you say what you say?
Okay, there are two determinants of crime in law. One is mens rea, and the other one is actus rea. Actus rea is the actual commission, the actual act of committing the crime for which you are charged. Mens rea is the intent that you have to commit the crime. So your intent can be determined by your action. How did the guy kill the person? He planned it over time. He made sure he gathered guns. He did this and make sure he set a trap. He stopped the person and killed it. The intent is revealed in the actus rea. But let me come to what I agree with Kamara on this one. I know I'll not be sedition this time. I agree with him on this one that the government erred. In my view, the government made a mistake. Let's see what the statement from the Ministry of Information said, and then we'll look at it. The Ministry of Information said the government of Liberia has taken a decision to remove from its territory the former chief of police of Sierra Leone, Ture, as Sangopo Alimani. Toure was apprehended in Monrovia by security forces at the request of the Sierra Leone authorities on the allegation of helping plan subversive activities intended to unseat the government of Sierra Leone. Third paragraph. Following preliminary investigation in Liberia and giving assurances of the government of Sierra Leone that the rights of the accused will be protected, including the rights of free, fair, and speedy trial, the Liberian government decided to hand Toure over. Last paragraph. His hand over to the Sierra Leone government is in keeping with the laws of 1986 non-aggression security treaty entered into by the governments of Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. Finish. Why did I bring this up? Why didn't the release said Mr. Toure was submitted to the court? He was given his due process. The Sierra Leone government proved their case, and the court ruled that he should be turned over. You arrest the person on Friday. On Saturday, you turn the man over, and you say you investigated. You investigated. How long did you investigate? And why didn't you mention in your release that the Sierra Leone government presented to the government of Liberia evidence of Mr. Toure's involvement into subversive activity? It will not mention. It will not also mention that the court process was engaged. It will not mention that the decision to remove him was based on a court order. It was not said. So this decision was arbitrary, was done on impulse. Now, the next thing I want to say is the treaty between Liberia and Sierra Leone was annulled in 1962. In 1962, the treaty existed no more between Liberia and Sierra Leone. That means Liberia had no obligation to turn anybody over that committed crime in Sierra Leone for Sierra Leone to request, or a Sierra Leone who committed crime in Liberia, and Sierra Leone say, well, even though he committed crime in your country, but we want to try him at home. Those treaties do not exist. The ECOWAS something you're talking about is right before me. I can't even go read it. It's a short thing, but I can't read it. It will waste our time. There's nothing in there that the governments of West Africa and Mana River Union is under responsibility to turn over a fugitive in another country.
Mr. Gerald, please read the last paragraph of that statement.
The Mana River thing,
No, not the Mana River. Yeah, the last statement. Read it.
The decision is also in line with the 1994 ECOWAS Convention.
Thank you.
There's nothing in the ECOWAS Convention that says
thank you. That's all I wanted to know. You talk about 1962, and these folks talk about 1994.
The extradition treaty between Sierra Leone and Liberia.
Listen, the present law supersedes what expired.
No. The 1994 ECOWAS law did not say you should turn people over. There's nothing in there.
Listen, what is that 1994 law?
1994 ECOWAS law is ready. I can't read it because it's too long.
There you go. So now here we are.
I come in. The 1994 ECOWAS protocol does not say in there that you should turn people over without due process.
Well, guess what? Once they didn't prohibit it, that means it can happen.
No.
If it were prohibited, they would have made it clear.
Ask anybody who is a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer.
If it were prohibited, they would have made it clear.
What the law does not give.
I was just listening to two of your CDC and CDC secretaries. Go ahead. We're listening.
What the law does not give, it withholds.
Listen.
If the law does not say you will go to jail for pointing finger, it means it withholds.
But guess what? If the law knows that thou shalt not kill, they will tell you thou shalt not kill.
Yeah, but if it doesn't say thou shalt not kill.
So, Mr. Nagbe, here we are.
Why don't you let me finish my comment? Go
ahead, Len, because you say we're too long. So
I know you're uncomfortable. I mean, you're not like me at this point because I'm disagreeing or
what? You're not disagreeing with me. You agree with me.
So here is the thing. What happened to Toure, Liberia will come to regret if he is killed by the brutal dictator Matters Bill. Because the Liberian government did not do the proper thing. And when they realized that Mr. Toure was killed and the evidence against him were not even sufficient, it will even make the government more guilty. So they shouldn't have done that.
That's why I said I hope the government talk to other.
If I were the government, I would have submitted Mr. Toure asking,
okay.
which you can choose a third country to go into.
Listen.
You choose a third country. I'll give you one example with the U.S. and the Liberian government. There's a guy called M.S. Babis Ross. He was a U.S. Marine, a decorated Marine. He was accused of peddling drugs in America, and he was sentenced for 40 years. He fled America and came to Liberia because he's a Liberian too. The American government put in an extradition for him. I covered that trial from start to finish. The Liberian government said, no, we don't have treaty with you. The treaty that we developed and we sent it to you, your Congress did not rectify it, and so it is not active. Therefore, we cannot submit this man to you. They went into that. The court was about to rule, and M.A. Babi Ross ran away and went to child seller era. He will never turn over. They seem that you talk about child seller. The U.S. government refused to turn child seller over because there was no treaty between Liberia and America. The Costa thing is relevant. I don't know why people are excusing it.
I know it will be relevant to you. So that won't bother.
It's relevant because when Costa left Liberia and with his misdemeanor charge, he went to Sierra Leone. The Sierra Leone government argued that the man had not committed crime against them. Therefore, they cannot turn him over. Did Toure commit crime against Liberia, for which they turn him over? No.
Well,
we cannot turn
Mr. Gerald, let me
I keep saying the prevailing circumstance is the coup that's been happening. You guys got to put that into consideration.
Mr. Morris.
Evans, you are right, but that shouldn't give anybody.
Everybody can be doing good, you can just go for that real oil.
Victor.
Yes.
Okay, here we are. If like our previous person said, that when they came to Liberia, they brought telephone evidence, they had recordings, they got pings to show that the men were using our soil to plan subversive action against the government. And they provided the evidence to our Justice Department. And the court was satisfied enough to turn the man over to Sierra Leone, okay, to where he was charged.
From Friday to Saturday?
It doesn't matter.
It does.
No, it doesn't. Listen, the case
doesn't, Mr. Jeru.
A case does not. They are not. They was not a full court.
Man, that is not argument, Mr. Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy, wrong.
They are asking this. Like Sierra Leone asked the Liberian government, if Costa had committed a felony or sedition, bring the evidence. Liberia had no evidence against, in fact, there was no evidence against Costa because it was a misdemeanor and they had no evidence to prove extradition. This is different from sedition. When they have evidence, excuse me, when they say they have evidence, okay, the NSA to NSA, they provided evidence that they got telephone, they got all of these things.
Why
and
the government did not mention
what the evidence investigated?
They have met the threshold. And
no, those things are done covertly. You take it to a judge, and the judge will go ahead.
Where has the government indicated that they have evidence against this guy? Where did they say that?
Oh yes, we I think somebody mentioned it here when they came. Listen. When they came to Liberia, they went to court. They presented the evidence. It was the Justice Department. In fact, Mr. Jerry just read the statement from the Justice Department. Mr. Jerry,
all of that will be done in secret. It won't be in the open. It will be done in secret.
Mr. Jerry, can you read that statement again? I mean, Victor, we're not here when you read it.
Let me read it again. Monrovia, August 8, 2023. The government of Liberia has taken a decision to remove from its territory the former chief of police of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Mr. Mohamed Toure, known as Sankor Paul Alemani and Yet. Mr. Toure was apprehended in Monrovia by the Liberian security forces at the request of the Sierra Leone authorities on the allegation of helping plan subversive activities intended to unseat the government of President Julius Maada Bio. Following preliminary investigation in Liberia and giving the assurances of the government of Sierra Leone that the rights of the accused will be respected, including the rights to a free, fair, and speedy trial, the Liberian government decided it was appropriate to hand over Mr. Toure to the government of Sierra Leone as requested by the authorities in that country. And his handover to the Sierra Leone government is in keeping with the laws of Liberia and the 1986 non-aggression treaty entered into by the government of Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. The decision is also in line with the 1994 ECOWAS Convention. That's all.
Mr. Nagbe, your take.
No, I mean, I was looking for the governing protocol. I see the release is citing, the ECOWAS, I think 1996 and 86 and 94 protocol. Because I was interested in the evidence that they have been able to use against this gentleman, for which he's been deported to Sierra Leone. If they have satisfied the legal requirements, then they might have a case here. But I will also argue that they could have also forwarded this man to a different country as opposed to Sierra Leone, or even tried him. I think they have the right to conduct a trial in Liberia and decide whether this man is guilty of the act or not. But I think it is quite clear sending him back to Sierra Leone. I think it's tantamount to sending him to his death. I think we can assume that, and so that is where I have reservations. I think this government should not have sent him back to Sierra Leone.
Great, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching our Friday night debate. Quite heated debate here on two particular issues that are of interest to us: the violence in Liberia yesterday, and then the extradition of the former police chief of Sierra Leone back to Liberia. Looking at the history between the two countries, where a gentleman by the name of Fode Sankor established a base in Liberia to overthrow and demean and damage the people of Sierra Leone, and then Charles Taylor using the same tactic to destabilize Liberia and Sierra Leone. So our folks, we are saying in the industry of arts, we say art imitates life. That's reality. We have been down this route before. We are not going to allow you to use our base, our home turf, to start war and use us. He couldn't have been tried in Liberia because Liberia has to be the persecutory arm, and he has not committed any crime against Liberia. So Liberia could not have persecuted him for no reason. The crime, Liberia cannot persecute crimes that are committed in other countries. No, we can persecute you like the United States did to Tom. We will persecute for crime committed on our soil, which is you lie, okay, to gain immigration status. That is a federal crime. After which time you will be sent back to your country to face whatever it is. So I am saying here.
You threw me off, man. What are you talking? What are you really saying?
George Bulley. When George Bulley was accused of whatever crime he committed here, he served his time, and after he turned, they shipped him back to Liberia. Like he came from war in Liberia, they could have said, you are a crime man, you're going back to Liberia, they would definitely kill you. That was not the case. He served his time.
The government, I don't think he was declared a wanted man by the government of Liberia, though.
Yeah, man, Mr. Gilman.
Well, listen, what I'm saying here, you are saying everybody knew, everybody in Liberia were applying for asylum, including himself. Okay, and the asylum was denied, and then he was.
I don't think you can do that. You can say I'm yelling. When you make this kind of analogy, then I gotta be yelling sometimes. What are you talking here?
Also, gentlemen and lady, we have to consider the history of Marabil. I think that's another factor in this case. He's not a quote unquote outwardly authoritarian president or even a dictator. Somebody who's known for killing his political opponent. It's not the case. I don't know that. I don't know if any other people on this panel know that. Who has he killed? Who has he killed, Mr.
Marabil is not a dictator. We don't have any record of him killing his opponent. We know he's arrested. We know he's arrested and killed them, but not killed them.
Nope, not at all. In fact, he's a Democrat. He was elected twice. So we know this. Ladies and gentlemen, we got what? We got 10 minutes here. Mr. Jerry, we want to thank you for coming. I want you to take 2 minutes of this time. You were to get the longest time because you came up for your
Let's
closing.
touch on our water
All
spoon
I
issue
would do,
before
I
we go.
did,
Still, we
you get
got
on
Mr.
there 2
Jerry.
minutes. All I would do,
Huh?
that's so
Let's
much.
touch on the water spoon issue before we go.
It's
Still, we
not
got Mr.
necessary.
Jerry.
You get on there 2 minutes. All I would take 2 minutes too.
Hold on,
Okay,
Mr.
well,
Gamer.
listen,
Hold on,
because,
Mr. Gamer.
yes,
It's getting late. It's getting late. I have to
Yeah.
do this real quickly.
yes.
This is a shameless plug. My wife is running for vice president for the Union of Liberian Association in the Americas on the Mohammed MSG1 Keita and Nagbe ticket. I urge all of you to support my wife. I also urge you to support us financially. Cash out your contribution to me.
No, you already kicked me out. You can't get no money from me now. You say you're ashamed of me, so forget about me.
Yes, I'm
Kamara,
So I have to plug that
please
in.
say your shame money to him, please.
So Emmanuel Nagbe is running for vice president of Yola. I think the election in September.
Is that how they call you now, Nagbe?
Hey, don't call
Yes.
it the American way, Mr.
Yes,
Nangwe. Please don't do
in
that. Don't call it the American way.
call her Nagbe.
What is that way?
Mr. Kamara,
Yo,
are you familiar with the Nagbe in Liberia?
I know Nagbe, but I don't know any Nagbe.
Oh, no, Nagbe. Yeah, me too. I never heard Nagbe before. I don't know.
Thank you
Mr.
for your
Gerald.
support,
Okay,
Mr.
all right. Let me make
Okay.
my
Listen,
closing
gentlemen, those of
comment.
us who like to support women, we want women in every position. Mrs. Nagbe is running for ULA. Is it
We
vice
gotta see her platform
Vice
first,
President,
not
yes.
just because you're a woman.
Okay, next time we're going to bring her on and we're going to bring
Yeah,
her
let
on
us see what she made
on
of.
her platform, what she intends
Absolutely.
to do.
I am managing
We
a
don't
campaign
just support you
to
because the woman or the
raise
man.
Liberia.
You gotta be qualified.
Because remember,
Actually,
I held that position before.
I met her in Fargo. She engaged me on that. She's very sound. I talked to her personally. But she said she was going to call me so we can campaign for her in North Dakota, and I'm waiting for her. But let me make my
She'll make that call. She'll make that call.
Let me make my closing comments on the issue of the violence. I already established that violence from everywhere is wrong. If we believe that citizens were violent in any situation, we use the law to be able to deal with the situation. Sometimes constructive engagement is better than violent response to any violence, because violence begat violence. If you go violent, they will come back again, it will go home, and then the whole process, if the opposition want to win, they don't want to get engaged in violence because then the election is going to be stalled. They can suspend the election. Whether you cry or not, they suspend the election because of violence. Then we cry and say, oh, Joshua, I don't want election because he suspended the election. Yeah, because the violence continue. And the man say, well, we don't want no violence. We don't want this election people to die. Therefore, as a president of the country, I'm taking the decision. The election will be postponed to be able to calm everybody down. Then you'll cry again. I don't want that. I don't want that. On the issue of the extradition, I do believe the government made a big mistake. And if that tourist guy is killed, the blood is on the government hand. And they will regret, because especially when they realize later that there are no sufficient evidence against the tourist man, and they begin to realize that people are telling them that this whole thing was made up by Manners Bill because he feel that because the man resigned from his government and came to Liberia, so he might be dangerous. Definitely, it's going to make the government regret their action. So I believe that we did justice to this, and we discussed it very well. I'm of the opinion that we should continue to encourage our government, whether George we are or anybody that is going there, like Gonglo. Now JMB, because JMB will be sleeping to the house while the boys are running the government.
There we go.
You see, that man was, I think he called JBD, oh, but it can be me.
I just said there we go. I expect you to do it at least once or twice. I'm only waiting. That's all.
JB will go to work 12 o'clock and go home 2 o'clock. And the rest of the day.
The man will be stuck in traffic. He won't even move.
He'll be stuck in traffic, but I think he get to the other lady. He say he wants sleep. You all coming where I want to take a nap. Okay, guys, thank you.
Great. Mr. Kamara.
Yeah. Look, let's set certain things straight here. Okay? Honesty is where I stand. All right? Now, the truth of the matter is you cannot have a country where people exhibit jungle justice and so you have a government. If the Unity Party partisan would put a blockage in front of citizens not to cross certain streets in Monrovia, their homeland, I would have spoken against the Unity Party. Anything should arise out of that, it would be the Unity Party's fault. The only group that are charged with the authority of blocking streets is the authority of the country, the government, not partisans of the president. Let's establish that. That's what happened. That's where the commotion started. As we speak, last night, the rescue mission headquarters in Bangistan was being assaulted by the police, where there was nobody in the street besides Unity Party partisans in the night. The police were launching at the United Party headquarters for reasons known to themselves. They have been accused, and the police have not come out to make any statement. For someone to sit here and say, oh, you don't want to listen to the police, you want to do this, you want to do that. Hey, man, we have seen on numerous occasions where the police stood back and watched people get victimized. We saw it, not once, but more than once. As long as it's not affecting the CDC, the police never gets involved. To just make a blanket statement, say, oh, the opposition one win, and they will do that, they will do that. You sit there and let your fellow maker put just like here and stand there and just be laughing. Let's see whether you will not react. You have to defend yourself. Mo Ali's statement never said that they were going to go after government, they were going to go attack government. Mo Ali's statement implied that the Unity Party, from moving forward, will be in readiness and they will not take any abuse from the CDC. It didn't say the police. It didn't say the government. It said the CDC. We're talking political party to political party. To imply that Unity Party will lose if they defend themselves against CDC is to say that CDC is the government of Liberia, which is not the case. So let us call a spade a spade. George Weah does not own Monrovia. If the Unity Party was informed officially by the National Elections Commission, the Unity Party would not have known Joseph Boakai. And for all of you who would detest, will still admit, some way, somehow, be forced to admit that Joseph Boakai would not go into a violent situation. He was not going to go there. They were never aware that CDC were going to seize District 9 and District 10 simultaneously. You were not aware of that. Okay? So, but the issue with Sierra Leone is not hard to debate. It is a simple thing. Under Liberian law, anybody within the 43,000 square miles of Liberia is under the protection of Liberia's constitution. If it wasn't so, the Sierra Leone government, the government of Sierra Leone was not going to send documents to the government of Liberia, because for the fact that the man was in Liberia, he was under government control. And the government should have done due diligence. What they did was faulty, and I think it was a job of a Boy Scout. Thank you so much.
You're muted.
Mrs. Marva, your closing statement?
Well, thank you. I think the show was a great show on the violence. I think both parties should respect the Farmington Agreement that they all signed in presence of the Liberian people. They have to really, really check their emotions. They need to put Liberia first, because when there is violence, there will be no elections. And at the end of the day, whoever is in charge will remain in charge. I don't think that's what they want. So everybody should follow the schedule. I also want to call on the Election Commission to be proactive. They have to come up with strategies that will promote peace and stability going towards elections. That is very important, because everybody, all parties, all the organizations are charged. For some reason, there is this animosity. Once you are not in somebody's party, you become an enemy automatically. I don't think that what it should be doing. If Liberia is the primary goal. Making Liberia better is the primary goal. I think we all need to work together to make that happen. So I hope this violence will be the last violence that we're going to see going forward. On the extradition of this police director, the former police director, I still maintain that Liberia, the name Liberia means free. So if anybody comes there to seek asylum and you want to send them back, you have to really investigate thoroughly or send them to a third country. Don't send them directly if you can't really, take decision on that. We do not know the circumstances under which he came to Liberia and has spent 1 year. Spending 1 year in Liberia, automatically he is a resident of Liberia and he's under the protection of the Liberian laws. So I didn't see any kind of emergency that would worry him to be going back in such a short period of time. And the people that came for him, I'm not only looking at their bodies, but the behavior. I think it was a little aggressive when they ran behind the journalist and tried to take their phone, you know, in a different country that is not even Sierra Leone. So imagine whoever they're going to carry, what they will do to him. So I hope, next time we'll really be careful and not go by emotions. I know one of my colleagues said, well, because the coups that are going around from country to country in the sub-region is of concern. We all know nobody want to overthrow. So, we have to we can't be carried by emotion. Well, because the other poor had coup d'etat, there's another one here. So whoever is planning coup, we just send them back from our soil so we can be blamed or so it can happen to us. We're not going to be making decisions based on, emotions. That's how I see it. So again, thank you very much. It was great argument tonight. And thank my fellow panelists for being here.
That means special thank you. I don't want to make it so hot. I'm making it hot.
I see.
Mr. Nagbe,
Nabi,
Mr. Kamara and the UP, their thing is that they're going to make Liberia hot.
not for everybody will be again.
And I don't think we will allow him to make it hot because we are too cool. Mr. Nagbe, your closing argument.
Yeah, thank you, Jerome. Thank you, guys. I think it was a great show. I really don't understand what happened here yesterday because I was in Monrovia. My last two appearances on the show, I actually did them from Monrovia. I only got back here on Wednesday, the 9th. And all along, I was in Monrovia for about 20 so days. I didn't really see all this. I didn't see any animosity in the streets. People are very animated, but sometimes you will see a sedition and the UP person campaigning side by side with the various, campaign paraphernalia, whether it's buttons or whatever it is. And so what happened yesterday, I think could really, really open a can of worms if it is not very quickly arrested. I really do believe that the president has a responsibility to make sure that they stick with the affirmative agreement. Not only that, during the Judge We I Thank You campaign, that was the theme of his speech, that they wanted to make sure that the elections would be violence free. And to have allowed this happen up to now, I haven't heard him say anything about it. I think that is wrong. I think it is also wrong for the way the Unity people are acting. Mr. Kamara said over here, beating his chest and all of that, all of that is not going to help the situation.
Kamara not doing a good job.
I think our people should take seize of the situation very quickly and bring this thing under control.
You should be talking to the government.
I did see the president. He was really very active, campaigning almost every day, and I respect him for that. I like that, but I don't know why he keeps drinking from the same well. Monrovia is not Liberia. He's all over Monrovia. I really don't know what the strategists are telling him, but he needs to clear the streets so that other people will get out there and also campaign. We met with the CPP people. We met Chairman Billity, we met Mr. Brown. They're very confident, and they're working. They may not be seen a lot in Monrovia, but they have a lot going on outside of Monrovia, and so we're encouraged by this. Um, the extradition of this gentleman to Sierra Leone, I really think it was not a good move on the part of the government. Um, I don't know what the protocols really say. I heard what Mr. Jiru read, but I think that by itself is not sufficient to have sent this man to his certain death. I will not, I won't hesitate to say, you know. So, I hope nothing happens to him. I hope this will not be a situation that this government will regret tomorrow. Now, Mr. Kamara, we come here and you'll be shocked. I mean, a lot of people I was surprised who came up to me to tell me, they watch the show, they recognize, one or two appearances I've made on the show. I'm just saying this to say there are a lot of people who are watching the show. We have to be careful of our utterances because we have the capacity to influence other people. Now, I understand what happened yesterday is not to your liking, it's not to the UP liking, but that doesn't also give you the right. That doesn't give you the right. You understand me? To instigate people and make the kind of statement that you're making. And Mr. Mo Ali himself, if as a matter of fact, the position statement that he read is the official position statement of the United Party. I think that was a mistake too. If the CDC government, erred, I don't think that gave the United Party the right to go down the same hole. So I really hope we can dial this thing back and come back to peaceful coexistence. We signed a affirmative agreement for a reason. I believe on Monday, the Joint Security headed by Councillor Dane, the Justice Minister, they came out and cautioned politicians, as we deploy our troops throughout the country. We want a peaceful campaign. So again, before I close it out, I encourage you to support my wife. She's running for vice president for Yola. The elections will be held, I think, the weekend of September 17th in Philadelphia. I encourage you to go out there and vote for her and also support us financially. Thank you, Mr. Kamara. Mr. Jiro, I heard what you said. I will encourage my wife to make that call, and we will do so. I am the campaign chair, so I think I'm in the position to promise that we will make that call. Mr. Gilman, Mr. Morris, and Ms. Wilson, we will be reaching out to you. We want your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Mr. Nagbe, in 1990 or so, Steve Boley and I were running
The Mwalimu?
with Mr. Waluba, and we did win the election for Eula, and I was vice president for administration, and Steve Boley was the executive vice president. So we've been in that position. We know where your wife is going through. So when she's ready to come on here, we'll be able to deal with her, ask her some of these questions, so she can tell us, because Eula has a bad reputation. Yeah. Maybe she can come in. She would be the breath of fresh air to come in and actually clean up the image of Eula, because it looks like they have become a paper tiger.
We're working on that.
So hopefully she can come on. We can ask her. But when it comes to the assault, I think Mr. Kamara said he heard that last night the police went at night to the UP headquarters and they were destroying it. I mean, how can people say these things? They have video of people fighting, but they don't have video of police breaking down his. I mean, how can people say these kinds of stuff? How can you say the police went to the UP office at night to destroy the office? How can somebody say stuff like that on national media? So, Mr. Kamara, and I think overwhelmingly you're hearing people were saying that no professional we have had a press conference today like Mo Ali's. Mo Ali's and you guys are not ready for prime time. There's no way you are going to be the face of a major political party and go stand there and say, we will organize, we will be violent, And from now on, we won't listen to the police. We won't listen. I mean, I've never seen it. Is so juvenile. Never heard that before. But Mo Ali did it. When it comes to Mr. Boykai being stuck, people were in Famuma. That's not true. They say Joseph Boykai was stuck in traffic way in District 9. They said Fiama somewhere way out there. It had nothing to do with Famuma House. So these guys, they are now going on a tangent and making themselves look bad. But ladies and gentlemen, there was a great show. Mr. Gerald, we're going to continue this particular violent one on Sunday. On point. So if you have the time, we'll let you to come on so we can continue. Mrs. Morgan, I love that outfit. I know on national TV we're not supposed to say it because we'll be called sexist and all that, but it is beautiful hair tie. I like the outfit. Mr. Morris, thank you very much for your input. Mr.
All right, guys, thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Mr. Nagbe, no matter how much you don't like my CDC, you know you and I, we are family from UPP. After the election, we're going to go back to our UPP, and we're going to work on the Gabriel Barker Matthew Foundation.
We're 2 children from one mother, yes.
We got to make sure that happens. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
We say,
thank you very much.
As we are Liberians, whether you like me or you don't like me, whether you are a sedition, UPP, or leaning one way, like some people here, they lean to the way that they almost falling inside. So we are saying we are all Liberians. We'll see you next Friday for another tantalizing debate.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.